Soren stood, his breathing steady despite the storm of emotions raging within him. Across from Soren in the ethereal realm, Noctis paced like a caged animal, the air around him crackling with uncontained energy. The fallen staff of Eltherin lay at his feet, tendrils of dark power spilling from his form and saturating the air. Soren raised his lightsaber, its green glow steady against the oppressive dark, waiting for Noctis to strike. But the attack didn't come. Instead, Noctis turned to face him, his wild eyes betraying the madness clawing at his mind. The overwhelming power he had absorbed from Lutherian was destabilizing him, pushing him to the brink of insanity. Soren realized the truth. Noctis's strength was also his greatest weakness. His body couldn't handle the power coursing through it. Noctis stopped pacing, his cruel grin returning as the energy around him seemed to coalesce. "Now, that's better," he said, his voice laced with malice. The energy radiating from him created two shimmering specters, each a shadowy likeness of himself, as if his essence was tearing apart. Soren kept his stance calm and measured, his eyes locked on his foe. "What do you want, Noctis, or whatever you are? You have my full, undivided attention." Noctis laughed, a sound so sinister it made Soren's skin crawl. "They told you I'm a dark version of yourself, didn't they? A broken fragment of your timeline made monstrous by circumstance. Lies. All of it." Noctis took a step closer, his voice rising with anger. "The Founders have ruled the universe for so long that their only entertainment now is manipulating the living, twisting fates to suit their cruel games. And you're the worst of them." Soren didn't flinch. His focus was unshakable, though every word from Noctis demanded answers. "I've fought to preserve the balance of the Force, to protect the innocent." "Balance? The Force? You're a fool," Noctis sneered, stepping closer. "I am not you. I am your son." The revelation struck like a thunderbolt. Soren's composure faltered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Theo?" Noctis smiled wickedly. "Ah, is that what you called him in your timeline?" His life force was delicious. Soren's chest tightened. "What have you done? Do you even understand?" Noctis hissed. "When you impregnated Tevara with your founder's seed, you doomed her. In countless timelines, a child was born. Your child. In many, Tevara was cast out, branded a liar for her immaculate conception. I am the product of one such life. A life of rejection and suffering. Now I stand before you to claim my revenge." Soren's heart ached, but he couldn't afford to dwell on the past. Noctis ignited his lightsaber, the crimson blade a blazing symbol of his fury. "Once I drain your power, nothing will stop me from ending the Founders." Soren forced himself to focus, setting aside the emotional turmoil. This was no time for hesitation. As Noctis charged, their lightsabers clashed, sending shockwaves across the strange realm. Their battle was a symphony of raw power and honed skill. Noctis fought with unrelenting aggression, his strikes hammering like a tempest. Soren countered with precision and fluidity, his every movement a testament to years of training and adaptability. Time seemed to stretch as the duel raged, each combatant testing the other's limits. Soren's sharp mind began to notice the cracks. Noctis had relied too long on overwhelming power and manipulation, never honing the endurance or technique necessary for an evenly matched battle. His attacks grew wilder, his energy faltering under the strain of Soren's calculated defense. When Noctis lunged in a final frenzied assault, Soren parried the attack and used the cortosis hilt of his lightsaber to temporarily short out Noctis' blade. Dropping low, he spun with a single devastating strike. His lightsaber sliced through Noctis, who collapsed to his knees, the power draining from his form like water from a shattered vessel. Soren stood over him, his lightsaber still glowing. Then he knelt beside Noctis, his voice low and cold. "What did you do to my son?" Noctis gasped, clutching his side as raw energy leaked from him. "You'll never know. The truth dies. With me." But Soren wasn't ready to let him go. Placing his hand on Noctis's face, he reached out with the Force, delving into the fragmented memories of the fallen being. In an instant, he saw everything, the truth of Theo's fate and the suffering endured in countless timelines. When he pulled back, The last remnants of Noctis' dark power faded, and the realm collapsed. Soren found himself back on the sanctuary battlefield. The air was still, the silence deafening, the weight of what he had learned threatening to crush him. A single tear slipped down his face as he whispered, "Theo." "Soren!" Kara's voice broke the silence, filled with relief and joy. She and Ronan sprinted toward him, their faces alight with hope. Ronan grinned. "Told you he'd be fine." Kara babbled excitedly, recounting everything that had happened in his absence. Soren managed a small smile, standing and removing his mask. "You two have done more than I could have ever asked. I'm proud of you both," Ronan smirked. "So, do I qualify as a Jedi now?" Soren chuckled, the weight of his sorrow momentarily lifting. "Not quite yet, but one day you both will be. It's time for the Jedi Order to be reborn, but this time, the right way." As the trio walked toward the remaining founders, Soren began to speak. "But before we rebuild, I need to tell you the story of my son, Theo.